Let me ask you about the lyrics, because it seems to me that your lyrics nowadays are becoming more obscure, unfathomable than they used to be.
Yes, they are, aren't they? Yeah. Well, there is a logic behind that. If only I could think of it. No, what I did, I'm working very much in fragment lyrics now, even more than I ever did. I mean, it started with Diamond Dogs. There are a couple of tracks on that that were written with a lot of inspiration due to Burroughs' work, William Burroughs. And I've really taken the plunge on this last album, I suppose. And it's arrived at by putting together 3 or 4 statements at variance with each other, sometimes completely unrelated statements. From those, say, arbitrary 3 statements, one arrives at a 4th piece of information from the rearrangement of what is involved. Now, that sounds like an awful easy thing to do. Well, it is, and I think everybody should do it.
I remember you telling me something before about writing things down on bits of paper and rearranging them. Is this what you literally do?
Yes, it's the cut-up technique, a cut-up technique. It was a very popular writing form in the 60s. I mean, it's sort of quite reactionary, really. I also like the spontaneous writing, just writing for the sake of it, and then rereading it and seeing what came out. So you must understand, I mean, it all sounds incredibly indulgent, and indeed it is, because this is the way I do cut-ups. I don't know if it's like the way Brian Geisen does his, or Burroughs does his, I don't know. But this is the way I do. I've used this method only on a couple of actual songs. What I've used it for more than anything else is igniting anything that might be in my imagination. I mean, you can often come up with very interesting attitudes to look into. I tried doing it with diaries and things, and I was finding out amazing things about me and what I'd done and where I was going. And a lot of the things that I'd done, it seemed that it would predict things about the future, or tell me a lot about the past. It's really quite an astonishing thing. I suppose it's a very Western tarot. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what happens.
In Los Angeles in '74, whatever it was, you were still using that technique of cut-ups. Do you still use it, or do you do...
Yeah. Increasingly so, to a great extent on Outside. Even, say, on the new album, Earthling. If you put 3 or 4 disassociated ideas together and created awkward relationships with them, the unconscious intelligence that comes from those pairings is really quite startling sometimes, quite provocative. A friend of mine in San Francisco developed a program for me on the computer which enables me to do it really quickly.
So instead of going through the laborious process
of cutting things up,
you use your computer.
Yeah, and you can work with far more material. So I'll take articles out of newspapers, poems that I've written, pieces of other people's books, and put them all into this little warehouse of this container of information, and then hit the random button, and it'll randomize everything, and I'll get reams of papers back out of it with interesting ideas. And then I'll either take sentences verbatim as it spews them out, or there might be something within a sentence which triggers off an idea.